Sarah Chen stood before the towering crystal spires of the Meridian Empire's Grand Scientific Assembly, her heart steady despite the countless alien eyes fixed upon her. The massive amphitheater, carved from living crystal that pulsed with bioluminescent light, housed representatives from over 300 spacefaring civilizations. Yet it was the Meridians themselves who commanded attention, their towering crystalline forms shifting through colors of deep purple and azure as they regarded her with what she had learned to recognize as amused condescension. The holographic display above her workstation showed the culmination of 15 years of research. The quantum resonance drive. Unlike the Meridian's crystal-based technology, her design drew upon the chaotic but powerful nature of organic neural networks. Distinguished members of the Assembly, Sarah began, her voice clear and unwavering. Humanity stands ready to contribute to galactic civilization with our latest breakthrough in propulsion technology. She gestured to the complex mathematical models floating above her. The quantum resonance drive operates on principles that violate fundamental laws of physics, interrupted High Overseer Licia, her crystalline form towering 7 meters tall, facets refracting light in dazzling patterns. Dr. Chen, while we appreciate humanity's enthusiasm, you must understand that your species has been spacefaring for barely 2 centuries. The Meridian Empire has guided the development of countless young races for millennia. Sarah maintained her composure, though her fingers tightened almost imperceptibly around her presentation controls. With respect, Overseer, our calculations show. Your calculations show nothing but your species' charming naivety, another Meridian counselor chimed in, their voice resonating like struck crystal. Your organic minds simply lack the processing capacity to truly comprehend quantum mechanics at this level. Laughter rippled through the chamber, a sound like thousands of wind chimes in a storm. Sarah watched as even the representatives from other young species joined in, eager to curry favor with their Meridian overlords. But Sarah noticed something else. Something in the way High Overseer Licia's crystal structure had briefly shifted to an unusual frequency when the equations for neural interface integration had appeared. Not dismissal. Fear. The Empire's guidance is appreciated, Sarah replied carefully. But humanity has always learned best through direct experience. We request permission to proceed with controlled testing off. Denied. Licia's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. For your own safety, and the safety of those around you, all research into this technology must cease immediately. The Empire has protocols about the development of dangerous technologies by junior species. Sarah felt the weight of the small data crystal in her pocket, the one containing her real research, not this carefully curated presentation designed to probe the Empire's reactions. Of course, Overseer, humanity will comply with the Empire's wisdom. As she gathered her materials, Sarah caught fragments of conversations from the other delegates. They saw only another primitive race being put in its place, their hubris checked by the Empire's benevolent guidance. They didn't notice the subtle shifts in the Meridian's crystalline structures. The frequencies that Sarah had learned indicated agitation and concern. Back aboard her ship, Sarah activated a heavily encrypted channel to a very specific frequency. The face that appeared in her comm display belonged to Dr. Marcus Zhang, officially listed as a failed theoretical physicist who had disappeared from academia years ago. They rejected it. Marcus asked, though his slight smile suggested he already knew the answer. Better than that, Sarah replied, allowing herself a small grin. They were scared of it. The neural interface components especially. We're on the right track. Marcus nodded, his expression turning serious. The facility is ready. How long until they realize you kept copies of your research? They'll be watching me closely now, but they'll be watching for the wrong things. The Empire thinks in crystals and quantum matrices. They don't understand how human minds work. Sarah began composing a series of seemingly innocent messages to colleagues across Earth's colonies, messages that, when combined in the right way, would set something unstoppable in motion. The prototype, she asked. Captain Rivera and his crew are already in training. The neural interfaces are performing better than we hoped. Turns out human chaos is exactly what we needed. Sarah's smile widened as she remembered the sound of crystalline laughter echoing through that vast chamber. They think our organic minds are primitive, limited by their chaotic nature. They don't realize that chaos is our greatest strength. She pulled up the real designs for the quantum resonance drive, not the simplified version she had shown the assembly, but the complete system that interfaced directly with human consciousness. The Empire had spent millennia perfecting crystal-based quantum computers, trying to impose perfect order on an inherently chaotic universe. But humans were born of chaos, their minds already operating on quantum principles that the Meridians couldn't comprehend. "How long until we're ready?" Marcus asked. Sarah studied the status reports coming in from their hidden facility deep beneath the Martian polar ice. 3 months. The Empire gave us exactly what we needed today. Confirmation that we're on the right track, and the belief that they've successfully shut us down. She looked out her viewport at the massive crystalline structures of the Empire's capital world. They were beautiful, perfect, ordered, and utterly blind to the storm that was coming. "Let them laugh," Sarah said softly. "In 3 months, we'll show them exactly what primitive human minds can do." The encrypted channel closed, leaving Sarah alone with her thoughts and the weight of humanity's future in her pocket. The Empire had made a fundamental mistake. They had assumed humanity's greatest weakness, the chaotic, organic nature of their minds, was a limitation to be overcome. They never considered it might be the key to something entirely new. As her ship broke orbit, Sarah began composing another message in her mind, this one to Captain James Rivera. The Empire had just given them everything they needed: time, confirmation, and most importantly, underestimation. Now it was time to show the galaxy that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe wasn't perfect crystalline order, but the beautiful chaos of the human mind. The Meridian Empire had stood unchanged for 10,000 years. In 3 months, that was going to change. And it would all begin with the sound of crystalline laughter echoing through an empty chamber, while humanity's greatest achievement slipped right through their perfect, ordered fingers. Captain James Rivera stood in the darkness of Olympus Mons' deepest cavern, watching his breath form clouds in the frigid Martian air. The vast underground chamber, naturally formed by ancient volcanic activity, had been transformed into humanity's most ambitious secret. The prototype ship hung suspended in the center, its hull gleaming with a metal that technically didn't exist. "Neural interface calibration complete," announced Dr. Zhang from his workstation, his voice echoing off the cavern walls. "Ready for another test run, Captain." James touched the slim neural band at his temples, feeling the familiar tingle as it synchronized with his thoughts. "Third time's the charm," he said, climbing into the cockpit. The ship, officially designated QRV-1, unofficially nicknamed Storm Chaser, powered up around him, systems responding to his presence. The neural interface was unlike anything he'd experienced in his 15 years of spaceflight. Traditional ships felt like wearing a bulky environment suit, functional but always separate from yourself. This was like gaining new limbs, new senses. "Beginning quantum field generation," Dr. Zhang reported. "Sarah's modifications to the resonance chamber are holding steady. Field stability at 87% and climbing." James closed his eyes, letting his consciousness merge with the ship's systems. The quantum field became visible to his mind's eye, not as numbers or diagrams, but as intuitive patterns he could feel. Where Meridian technology forced quantum states into rigid crystalline structures, this system flowed like water, adapting to the pilot's thoughts. "Field stability at 93%, a new voice announced. James opened his eyes to see Sarah Chen entering the control center, her expression intent as she studied the readouts. "That's a 15% improvement from last week. The neural feedback loop is actually strengthening the field." "It's getting easier," James reported, feeling the quantum field respond to his thoughts. Less like giving commands, more like dancing. That's exactly what we're counting on, Sarah said, moving to stand beside Dr. Zhang. The Meridians think quantum mechanics requires perfect crystalline computation. They don't understand that human consciousness already operates on quantum principles. We're not forcing the quantum field into shape. We're letting it move with us. A sudden alarm cut through the chamber. Red warning lights flashed as security systems activated. Imperial Patrol. Lieutenant Maria Santos reported from her security station, her fingers flying over holographic controls. 2 ships, coming in low over Olympus Mons. Their flight path will take them directly over us in 3 minutes. Shut down protocols, Dr. Zhang began, but Sarah cut him off. No, we're ready, Captain Rivera. James felt his pulse quicken, but his voice remained steady. Green across the board. Neural interface stable, quantum field at 95%. We can do this. Sarah nodded, her eyes bright with suppressed excitement. Lieutenant Santos, initiate surface camouflage. Dr. Zhang, power readings to minimum. Captain, show us what Stormchaser can do. James let his consciousness sink deeper into the neural interface. The quantum field responded instantly, wrapping around the ship like a second skin. Above them, the Imperial patrol ships swept over the Martian surface, their crystal matrix sensors probing for any sign of prohibited technology. They found nothing. Not because Stormchaser was hidden, but because it existed in a quantum state their rigid sensors couldn't comprehend. James could feel their scans passing through the ship, trying to impose order on chaos. But like trying to grab smoke with tweezers, their crystalline technology simply couldn't grasp the fluid nature of human quantum manipulation. They're moving on, Maria reported after several tense minutes. No sign they detected anything unusual. Because they're looking for what they expect to find, Sarah said, her voice tight with satisfaction. Crystal resonance chambers, quantum matrix arrays, technology that makes sense to them. They never consider that there might be another way entirely. James powered down the quantum field, feeling the familiar disorientation as his consciousness separated from the ship's systems. We're not just hiding from them, he realized. We're thinking in ways their entire civilization can't understand. Exactly, Sarah confirmed, and that's why we're going to win. The Empire's greatest weakness isn't their technology. It's their inability to imagine alternatives to their way of thinking. Dr. Zhang pulled up a holographic display showing test data from the flight. Neural synchronization exceeded all previous benchmarks. The quantum field actually strengthened when the Imperial ships passed overhead, almost like the system was responding to the challenge. It was, James said quietly, remembering the feeling. Their presence created new patterns in local space-time, patterns we could feel and adapt to. The more complex the environment, the more opportunities for quantum resonance. Sarah's smile was fierce. The Empire thinks they understand quantum mechanics because they can force it into crystalline patterns. But the universe isn't made of crystals, it's made of possibilities. And no one understands possibilities better than humans. How long until we're ready for the next phase? Maria asked, her hand unconsciously touching the neural band she wore, identical to the one James used to pilot Stormchaser. 2 more weeks of testing, Sarah replied. Then we begin crew selection for the other prototypes. The Empire's about to learn that they're not the only ones who can shape quantum reality. They just might not like our version of it. As the team dispersed to their stations, James remained in Stormchaser's cockpit, feeling the lingering connection through the neural interface. The ship didn't just respond to human consciousness, it amplified it, creating a synthesis of organic and quantum systems that the Meridians would consider impossible. Their perfect crystalline order had no room for chaos, no way to comprehend the power of human intuition merged with quantum mechanics. And that was exactly why they were going to lose. Deep beneath the Martian surface, humanity's secret weapon hung in the darkness, waiting. Not a weapon of crystalline perfection, but one born of chaos and possibility, just like its creators. The Empire had spent 10 millennia imposing order on the galaxy. They weren't ready for what human disorder could do. The storm was coming. And this time, humanity wasn't just along for the ride. They were the storm itself. The Imperial alert echoed through the crystalline corridors of the Meridian High Command, its harmonics signaling the highest level of emergency. High Overseer Licia's form pulsed with deep crimson frequencies as she absorbed the reports flooding in from across the Sol system. Impossible, she resonated, her crystalline structure vibrating with distress. The quantum signatures make no sense. No drive system could produce these patterns. The holographic display showed a cascade of violations of what the Meridians considered immutable laws of physics. Ships appearing and disappearing from normal space, moving in ways that defied their most advanced tracking systems. And at the center of it all, a growing hole in their perfect, ordered universe, a place where their crystal matrix sensors simply failed to function. Mars. In the command center of humanity's underground facility, Sarah Chen watched a similar display with very different emotions. 5 ships now hung in the vast cavern, each one an improvement on Stormchaser's original design. Each one crewed by pilots and engineers who had learned to think in quantum possibilities rather than crystalline certainties. Fleet Admiral Rivera, she called, unable to keep the smile from her voice. Care to give our Meridian friends another demonstration? James, recently promoted to command the growing human fleet, grinned from Stormchaser's cockpit. Thunder Squadron, prepare for quantum sync. Remember, don't fight the chaos. Flow with it. Sarah watched as the 5 ships powered up, their quantum fields interacting in ways that even she hadn't predicted. The neural interfaces didn't just connect pilot to ship. They connected all 5 crews into a quantum-entangled network of human consciousness. Multiple Imperial warships entering Mars orbit, Lieutenant Santos reported from her expanded control center. Crystal matrix signatures indicate 3 heavy cruisers and their escort fleet. They're deploying in standard containment formation. Standard for dealing with conventional ships, James replied, his voice carrying the strange harmonic quality it took on when he was deeply linked with Stormchaser's systems. But we're anything but conventional. Thunder Squadron, initiate Chaos Protocol Delta. The 5 ships rose in perfect synchronization, their quantum fields merging into a single coherent pattern that existed in multiple states simultaneously. Sarah's instruments tried to track them, but even their advanced human sensors could only approximate the complex quantum dance taking place. Imperial ships are launching their first wave of crystal matrix probes, Maria announced. They're trying to establish a resonance lock on our quantum signatures. Sarah watched the incoming data with growing excitement. They still don't understand. They're trying to force our quantum fields into their crystalline patterns. But you can't crystallize chaos. You can only flow with it. Above the Martian surface, the Imperial fleet hung like perfect geometric sculptures, their crystal matrix technology attempting to impose order on what they saw as dangerous quantum anomalies. Their sensors detected something that should not exist, ships that seemed to occupy multiple quantum states simultaneously, their very existence a violation of the Empire's understanding of physics. The first wave of crystal matrix probes approached Thunder Squadron, attempting to lock them into conventional spacetime. In response, the human ships did something that the Empire's finest scientists would spend years trying to understand. They embraced the chaos. Each ship's quantum field responded not just to its pilot's consciousness, but to the interlinked awareness of the entire squadron. Where the Empire tried to force quantum states into rigid patterns, humanity's ships flowed between possibilities like water through fingers. They're launching their second attack wave, Maria reported. Energy weapons powered up. They're switching to offensive protocols. Perfect, James replied. They're about to learn that trying to shoot us is even harder than trying to scan us. Thunder Squadron, scatter pattern Omega. Show them what human chaos can really do. The 5 ships burst apart in a display that made the Imperial gunners' targeting systems crash as they tried to compute firing solutions. Each human vessel existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously, their patterns shifting faster than crystal matrix technology could track. Crystal energy beams lanced out from the Imperial ships, trying to bracket the human vessels with overlapping fields of fire. But you couldn't hit what you couldn't predict, and Thunder Squadron was pure quantum uncertainty given form. Multiple Imperial ships reporting system failures, Maria announced, her voice tight with suppressed excitement. Their crystal matrix cores are experiencing cascade resonance failures. They tried to match our quantum patterns, and their rigid systems couldn't handle the chaos, Sarah finished. Just as we predicted. They're so convinced that their way is the only way to manipulate quantum mechanics that they never develop protection against alternatives. James's voice carried a note of fierce pride. Thunder Squadron, execute final phase. Let's show the Empire exactly what they've been laughing at. The 5 human ships moved in perfect asymmetric harmony, their quantum fields weaving patterns that made the Imperial sensors short out trying to track them. Where the Empire's ships moved with crystalline precision. Thunder Squadron flowed like a river around rocks, finding every gap in their perfect formations. Imperial fleet is beginning emergency quantum translation, Maria reported. They're retreating. Sarah watched as the mighty warships of the Meridian Empire, their crystal hulls still broadcasting confusion and alarm on all frequencies, vanished into quantum space. They fled not from superior firepower or overwhelming numbers, but from something far more threatening to their ordered worldview, proof that their fundamental understanding of the universe was incomplete. Quantum field stability holding at 98% across all ships, Dr. John reported. The neural interface network actually grew stronger during combat. It's like the human mind was made for this kind of quantum manipulation. Not made for it, Sarah corrected, watching the readouts with satisfaction. Evolved for it. The Empire spent 10,000 years trying to force quantum mechanics into crystal patterns. We spent millions of years evolving minds that could surf chaos itself. James brought Stormchaser in for landing, the other ships of Thunder Squadron following in a formation that looked random but felt right at the quantum level. They'll be back, he said. And next time they'll bring a bigger fleet. Let them, Sarah replied. The more ships they bring, the more chances we have to show them what humanity can do. Today was just the beginning. We didn't even show them our real capabilities. As warning signals spread across the Empire's perfect crystalline networks, as reports of impossible quantum phenomena reached the highest levels of Imperial command, humanity's secret weapon wasn't the technology they'd developed. It was the simple fact that they'd stopped trying to impose order on quantum chaos and learned instead to become one with it. The Empire had mocked humanity's chaotic nature. Now that same chaos was about to tear their perfect crystalline order apart, one impossible quantum state at a time. The Meridian Empire's Grand Council chamber had never seen such chaos. The perfectly ordered crystalline hierarchy that had governed countless civilizations for 10 millennia was fracturing, its members vibrating with frequencies that hadn't been heard since the early days of their species. The human quantum anomalies have spread to 7 systems, High Overseer Lisha reported, her once perfect crystalline form showing stress patterns that would have been unthinkable months ago. Our containment protocols have failed. Their ships, they don't just evade our crystal matrix technology. They turn it against us. In the quantum space between conventional reality, humanity's liberation fleet demonstrated exactly why the Empire had reason to fear. 30 ships now moved as one, their neural-linked crews creating quantum patterns that defied Imperial understanding. Leading them was the newly commissioned flagship, Quantum Dream, a vessel that represented everything humanity had learned about merging consciousness with quantum mechanics. Sarah Chen stood on its bridge, surrounded by displays showing quantum state data that would have given Meridian scientists seizures. Status report from all squadrons, she called out, watching the fleet's neural network pulse with information. Thunder Squadron maintaining quantum sync at 99%. James reported from Stormchaser, his consciousness linked not just with his ship, but with the entire human fleet. Lightning and Storm squadrons report similar readings. The neural network is actually getting stronger the more ships we add. Dr. Zhang's voice came through the quantum link, his excitement evident even through the strange harmonics of neural quantum communication. It's like we're creating a new kind of quantum consciousness. Each human mind adds new possibilities to the network, making the whole system more adaptable. Sarah smiled, remembering the crystalline laughter that had once mocked human capabilities. The Empire had thought humanity's chaotic nature was a weakness. They never considered that chaos itself might be the key to understanding quantum reality. Multiple Imperial battle groups detected, Lieutenant Santos announced from her station. They're attempting to establish a quantum containment grid around the Centauri system. Let them try, Sarah replied. Fleet Command, prepare for Chaos Protocol Omega. Show them what human disorder can really do. The Liberation Fleet moved like a quantum storm, each ship existing in multiple states simultaneously while maintaining perfect neural synchronization with the whole. Where Imperial ships tried to impose crystalline order on spacetime, humanity's vessels surfed the quantum foam itself, riding possibilities that the Empire's rigid technology couldn't even detect. The first Imperial shots passed through empty space as human ships shifted quantum states faster than crystal matrix targeting could track. Return fire wasn't necessary. The very presence of the human fleet's chaotic quantum fields was causing cascade failures in Imperial systems. Their crystal matrix cores can't handle the quantum uncertainty we're generating, Dr. Zhang reported with satisfaction. They designed their technology to impose order on quantum mechanics. When faced with true quantum chaos, their systems literally start to crystallize themselves to death. Through the neural network, Sarah felt the growing confidence of her crews. Each victory, each demonstration of humanity's quantum capabilities strengthened their understanding of what they could achieve. The Empire had spent millennia teaching younger races to think like them, to approach quantum mechanics through the lens of crystalline order. Humanity had refused to learn that lesson, and now that refusal was their greatest strength. Imperial fleet attempting emergency quantum translation, Maria announced. Their formation is breaking down. Sarah watched as the mighty warships of the Meridian Empire retreated once again, their perfect geometric patterns shattered by contact with human quantum chaos. But something was different this time. The quantum signals emanating from the Imperial ships carried new frequencies. Frequencies that the human fleet's sensors identified as fear. They're not just afraid of our technology anymore, James observed through the neural link. They're afraid of what we represent. We're proving that their entire understanding of the universe is flawed. Exactly, Sarah replied. And that's why they're about to make their biggest mistake yet. The Empire can't adapt. Their entire civilization is built on the belief that their way is the only way. When faced with proof that they're wrong, they'll react the only way they know how. Total crystalline mobilization, Dr. Zhang concluded. They'll try to impose their order on the entire sector at once, using every ship and installation they have. And when they do, Sarah said, feeling the quantum possibilities swirling through the neural network, we'll show them what happens when you try to crystallize a storm. The Liberation Fleet moved through quantum space like a force of nature, their human crews surfing chaos itself. Each Imperial attempt to contain them only made them stronger, as the neural network adapted to new challenges in ways that crystal matrix technology couldn't comprehend. Deep in the Empire's crystal cities, alarm frequencies reached fever pitch. Reports flooded in from across controlled space, human ships appearing and disappearing at will, Imperial technology failing in their presence, quantum laws being broken in ways that threatened the very foundation of Meridian science. The Empire had three choices: adapt, surrender, or commit everything to one final attempt at imposing their crystalline order on the quantum chaos humanity had unleashed. Sarah Chen knew which choice they would make. The Empire's greatest strength, their perfect, unchanging order, had become their fatal weakness. As humanity's Liberation Fleet prepared for the coming storm, Sarah felt the quantum possibilities crystallizing into certainty. The Empire would make their stand, commit every ship and resource they had to crushing this threat to their ordered universe. And in doing so, they would learn the hardest lesson of all. You cannot defeat chaos by imposing more order. You can only survive it by learning to dance with it. And humanity had been dancing with chaos since the first human looked up at the stars and dared to dream of reaching them. The crystalline heart of the Meridian Empire pulsed with frequencies not seen in 10,000 years. Every ship, every installation, every quantum-capable crystal matrix in their territory had been activated in a desperate bid to impose order on what they saw as a cancer of chaos spreading through their perfect universe. 1,000 Imperial warships hung in formation around their capital world, their crystal matrix cores synchronized in an attempt to create the largest quantum containment field ever attempted. High Overseer Lisha, her once perfect form now streaked with stress fractures, directed the operation from the flagship Crystal Dominion. The human quantum anomalies approach, she announced, her voice carrying harmonics of determination and fear. This ends today. We will show these primitives the true power of crystalline order. Through quantum space, humanity's liberation fleet moved like a storm front. 50 ships now, their neural network having evolved into something that even Sarah Chen hadn't fully predicted. It wasn't just a communication system anymore. It had become a new kind of quantum consciousness, one that emerged from the merged awareness of hundreds of human minds working in perfect chaotic harmony. They're attempting to establish a sector-wide crystal matrix field, Dr. John reported from his station aboard Quantum Dream. The energy readings are off the scale. They're trying to force all of local space-time into crystalline patterns. Sarah felt the pressure through the neural network, felt the Empire's desperate attempt to impose their version of reality on the quantum foam itself. They still don't understand, she said, both to her crew and through the quantum link to the entire fleet. They think if they just add more order, more rigid structure, they can contain chaos. But chaos isn't the enemy. It's the fundamental nature of reality itself. All squadrons report quantum sync holding steady. James called from Storm Chaser's position at the head of Thunder Squadron. The Imperial containment field is actually making our neural network stronger. The more they try to impose order, the more possibilities they create for us to work with. Sarah finished. Fleet Command, prepare for final approach. Show them what humanity has learned about dancing with chaos. The Liberation Fleet accelerated, not in normal space, but through the quantum possibilities themselves. Where Imperial ships moved in perfect geometric formations, humanity's vessels flowed like water, like wind, like thoughts themselves. Each attempt by the Empire to predict their movements only created new quantum states for them to exploit. Imperial Fleet launching primary attack wave. Lieutenant Santos reported. Crystal matrix energy weapons at maximum power. They're attempting to establish a resonance lock on our quantum signatures. Sarah felt the attack through the neural network, felt the Empire's crystalline technology trying to force their ships into conventional spacetime. But humanity had learned to exist in the spaces between spaces, in the quantum uncertainty that the Empire feared. Remember what they told us, Sarah broadcast to the fleet. Remember how they laughed at our primitive chaotic minds. Now show them what those minds can really do. Chaos Protocol Omega Prime. Execute. The 50 ships of humanity's fleet split apart like a breaking wave, each vessel flowing into quantum states that the Empire's sensors couldn't even detect. But they weren't just evading. They were attacking in a way the Empire had never conceived possible. The neural network expanded, human consciousness reaching out through quantum space itself. Where Imperial ships tried to impose crystalline order, humanity's fleet created controlled chaos, their quantum fields disrupting the very foundations of crystal matrix technology. Multiple Imperial vessels reporting critical failures, Maria announced, her voice tight with excitement. Their attempt to synchronize their crystal matrices is backfiring. The quantum uncertainty we're generating is causing cascade resonance throughout their fleet. Through the neural network, Sarah felt the moment the Empire's perfect formation began to crack. Their 1,000 ships had created the largest crystal matrix network ever attempted, and in doing so, they'd made themselves vulnerable to the very chaos they sought to contain. Their ships are crystallizing, Dr. Zhang reported in amazement. The feedback from their own containment field is causing their hulls to transmute into static crystal structures. They've locked themselves into a single quantum state. James's voice carried grim satisfaction. They tried to impose perfect order on quantum mechanics. Instead, they've imposed it on themselves. Sarah watched as the mighty Imperial fleet began to transform, their ships becoming perfect, beautiful, and utterly immobile crystals in space. The Empire's final attempt to impose their will on reality had become their ultimate prison. High Overseer Lish's voice cut through all frequencies, carrying harmonics of desperation. What have you done to us? We haven't done anything to you, Sarah replied calmly. You did this to yourselves. You tried to force the universe to behave according to your crystalline logic. But quantum mechanics isn't about order or chaos. It's about possibility, something humanity has always understood. Through the neural network, Sarah felt the quantum storm begin to calm. The Empire's fleet hung in space like a garden of crystal sculptures, their crews trapped in perfect, unchanging stasis. They had achieved their ultimate goal, perfect crystalline order. And in doing so, they had rendered themselves obsolete. All Imperial vessels have ceased function, Maria reported. The crystal matrix network has completely crystallized. They're beautiful, actually. Yes, Sarah agreed softly. Beautiful, perfect, and unable to change, just like their understanding of the universe. The Liberation Fleet regrouped, their quantum fields settling into a new kind of harmony. Through the neural network, Sarah felt the mixture of triumph and solemnity from her crews. They had won not through superior firepower or technology, but by understanding something the Empire never could. That chaos and order weren't opponents, but partners in an eternal dance. Signal coming in from the Imperial capital, Dr. Zhang announced. The civilian governance is requesting terms of surrender. Sarah looked out at the field of crystallized warships, monuments to an era of enforced order that had finally come to an end. Tell them we're not here to conquer. We're here to teach them something their empire forgot 10,000 years ago, that the universe isn't meant to be controlled. It's meant to be experienced in all its chaotic, quantum glory. As humanity's fleet moved toward the Imperial capital, their neural network pulsing with possibilities, Sarah remembered standing in that crystal chamber, enduring the laughter of beings who thought they understood everything. The Empire had spent millennia trying to impose their version of reality on the galaxy. Now they would learn what humanity had always known, that true understanding comes not from controlling chaos, but from learning to dance with it. The age of crystalline order was over. The era of quantum possibility had begun. And humanity, with their chaotic, primitive, beautiful minds, would lead the way into a future where nothing was certain except the infinite potential of what might be.